Well, hi again, everyone. It's Rob Ryder on Thursday, the 30th of January, 2025. And today, Administrative State responds to TILA complaints. So, if you've been following along, I've been doing a series of videos about the Truth in Lending Act and what it says to do if you find that the annual percentage rate or the finance charges are perhaps miscalculated. And so we had done that. A few people had done it. I don't know how many people have watched the video and did it, but at least 5 people have contacted me and said that they did it and that they had gotten a response to their complaint. And the first couple people that got a response, it looked like, hey, they're doing it the right way, right? That they're going to, so that, for instance, the first one I got was somebody who was doing a mortgage and was through a bank, and the bank should be regulated by the FDIC, and that's where the complaint was going. And then another one was somebody was a car loan, and the car loan was done by a credit union, which is regulated by a state regulating agency, and so they were going to send it there. So looks okay. Looks like things are going okay. Well, then the next 3 people that sent me something, which all was in the last couple of days, theirs were all being sent to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which if you watched the video before, I wrote on these, I said, well, there is no such place. In the law, it's called the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection. It's not Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, right? That's like a creation of the administrative state. So anyways, what are you going to do about it? Well, complain. Right? That was the idea, was to get something in to see what they're going to do, and then once you got it, well, see if there's some way to complain about it. And that's what I'm going to try to cover in this video, although I don't know exactly what the complaint would be like and how it will be done. It's just that's where we are today, and it's time to do a review. And so let's do that. So, yeah, without any further ado, I am Retluski Robert Allen, a U.S. Army indefinite enlistee, DOD ID number 12112800006. If you've ever enlisted, you're still in. Don't let them take it from you. Cover that in another video again sometime, but rest assured. But I'm also known as Rob Ryder. Court of Record is my email address. And you can find videos like this and other things I've done on X, on YouTube, videos at Rob Ryder, ROBBBRYDER, or on Rumble with 2 B's, ROBBRYDER. So yeah, let's get started here. Maybe we'll start with a little quick review and then see where we are today. So hang on just a second. Okay, so it's worth pointing out that I'm only interested in Truth in Lending Act discrepancies, which is limited to the APR, annual percentage rate, and the finance charges. And if those are wrong, you get to take it to the regulator. The regulator should be one of 3 places, either the Federal Reserve, Board of Governors, Federal Reserve, FDIC, or the Comptroller of the Currency. So what we're looking at then is these disclosures, right? This is where the disclosed APR, annual percentage rate, and the finance charges will be found. If you have a relatively new mortgage, you'll have a closing disclosure. Like, I think 2015 and newer, they did it. If you have an older mortgage, or you have some other type of consumer financial transaction, such as a car loan, you're going to have a Truth in Lending disclosure. And everything on a Truth in Lending disclosure is all on one page. So everything you need to know to do the complaint would be on one page. It's all right here. Right? But if you have one like this, closing disclosure, well, then some of it's on the first page, and some of it's on the last page. Right? Like here, you're going to need the finance charge and the amount financed and the annual percentage rate. Those are all going to come off of this page. We're off of this page, you're going to get the, you'll find out that's where the interest rate is, the P&I, and the loan term, right? So I'm going to do this other one here first, right? So we got this. This is for a car loan, right? And on here it says you're going to put the car up for collateral. Well, you do the same thing on a mortgage. Yeah, for a mortgage is you're putting your house up for collateral. So, anyways, the idea is, well, if this isn't right, you want your collateral back, right? If they didn't do this right, if they've overstated or understated with outside of allowable parameters, then the loan can be rescinded. There could be restitution, which means you get your collateral back, get your payments back, all sorts of things through administrative enforcement actions. So you don't go to court for this, right? This is supposed to be done through the regulators, which is what we're trying to do. And now we're in a point where we're starting to get some responses, and the administrative states popped up again, which is the way it is. The world is run by the administrative state. If you didn't know that, that's the facts. So what's going on here? So if you had something like this, you could calculate for yourself to find out, well, is the annual percentage rate actually 3.241, and is the finance charge actually $2,501? Well, how do you do that, Rob? Let's do some math. Okay, so in that particular case, the APR is 3.241, and the finance is 23,493. Loan term is 75 months, which is 6.25 years. Multiply that by 365 to get the days, right? So whatever your months are, turn into years, multiply by 365, get the days. The amount that was financed, the monthly P&I. Well, a real quick calculation, right? This is just straight calculation here. Let's do a solve for the total interest. Because if we know what the monthly P&I is, we calculate that, and then we take the principal out, we should be left with the interest, which is what we did, and the interest ended up being $3,390. Well, the interest itself is greater than the finance charge, so the disclosed finance charge of $2,501 is understated. Well, by law, when you talk about finance charge, listen up now, the finance charge can be understated by no more than $100, and that's on a mortgage. On anything other than a mortgage, it's like $10. So obviously, there's something wrong. You wouldn't even need to do any more calculations. You could complain about that, but hey, we're here. Let's continue on. Okay, so how do you calculate the APR? Well, you're going to end up with two fractions, and you're going to multiply them together. Multiply that by 100 to change that fraction into percentage, right? Simple stuff. So the finance charge was $2,501, and the loan amount was $23,493. Well, when you do that fraction, you end up with a decimal point of 0.1065. So that's the first part. Next part is 365 divided by loan term days, which is why we had to do all those gyrations up here, so we could get to 2,282 days. So we do that fraction, and we get 0.1599. Well, multiply those two together, and you get 0.0170. Multiply that by 100 to turn that into percentage, you get 1.7%. Well, the disclosed APR is 3.241. But we calculated 1.17, so that means that the disclosed APR is overstated. And it's overstated by, almost half. So let's say 1.7%. Well, by law, the APR can be overstated or understated no more than 0.25%. It's like a 0.25, right? So this is way, way overstated. And then to calculate the finance charge, well, we know it's already wrong. Well, let's just calculate it because we can. We got the numbers here. And the finance charge, to do that one, you're going to take the APR and multiply that by the amount financed, and multiply that by loan term days. That's at 2,282 days divided by 365. 365. So we, put the numbers in. We get 0.1599. Well, multiply those two together, and you get 1.7%. Well, the disclosed APR is 3.241. right? Because APR 3.241% is actually a fraction, or a decimal of 0.03241%. So we got that times the 23,493 times whatever the fraction is at 2,282 divided by 365. Yeah, that's right here. And we multiply all those together, we end up with 4,758.95. But they only disclosed 2,501. So the disclosed finance charge is understated. And if it's understated by more than $10, then it's outside of the tolerances, which means you should be able to rescind the contract, even if it's already happened. So that was all in the law. I showed that in previous videos. I can't do everything, in every video, or be here forever. But that's where it comes from, right? Simple enough. So here's an idea of what I told this guy to put in his complaint, right? For the text for the complaint. We're going to look at the complaint form in a second. It's really simple complaint form, right? Complainant is buyer party with institution. That's what they call it on the form. As lender party in a consumer finance transaction under account number, which was on the form, on the truth in lending statement. Using data from the lender provided truth in lending disclosure, which is what we did, I have calculated the APR, finance charge, and total principal and interest. I find the disclosed APR overstated and the finance charge understated outside allowable tolerances. It appears the lender may have committed a federal crime. And what was the text for the relief? Use all allowable administrative enforcement actions to provide restitution, civil penalty, adjustment of actions, etc., to provide complete equitable relief. Something along those lines. And so if you go to this Federal Reserve Consumer Help website, which, it's a .gov website, it says Forms Federal Reserve Consumer Help.gov, it'll allow you to file a complaint. And you can either print a version or you can do it online. If you print the version, it will look something like, where are you? The form looks like this. Right? Now this is this got an OMB number on it, Office of Management and Budget. So, it's an official form of the government. FR 1379C. Right? And it's a very simple form. Your information, representative, institution information, put your complaint on the back, put this here, what you want, so forth and so on. And, if you read this website here and follow all these links, they'll tell you, look, we don't want all your documents. Just send us the frickin' thing, and we'll decide from what you told us who to send it to, what regulator, and then the regulator will contact you. Right? So the first contact you would get would be an acknowledgement from these people saying, hey, we got your complaint, and we're going to send it to the proper regulator. That's how it should work. And the regulator should contact you and say, hey, we got it. We're looking at it. We're going to contact the lender and find out what's going on. We'll get back to you. So for a couple people, that's where they are right now. For the rest of them, well, they said, well, you need to contact the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Well, that's not the right answer. So if you were continuing to fill this out, then, the first name, mine's Robert Allen, right? I refuse to have Allen be my middle name. Therefore, I'll never have a middle initial, which is one of the ways they steal your identity, is get you to agree to be the dude with the middle initial. That's who the taxpayer is. Go look at your W-2 form. It'll say it's for, like, we'd say Robert A. Rutlusky. Well, that isn't me. Okay, put your address, phone number, decide how you want them to contact you. I mean, that's all up to you. Just email is simpler. So, but this is, see where it says representative contact here? I'm saying you want to put your U.S. representative. In other words, your congressman. Like I'm in the 3rd District of Michigan, 3rd U.S. District of Michigan, right? So a guy named Muhlenauer is mine, right? You can find his information online. You can fill all this out. Because, he's supposed to help you with this stuff anyway. So we're going to go look at their website, and it says that that's what one of the things they do is help you with, you're having a problem with another federal agency. Institution information, well, of course, that's your lender, right? That's why I had said institution, because that's where it's called. And then I'm going to say it's a consumer finance transaction. I don't know what else to call it. And then routing number, I don't know. You could put in the loan number if you want to, do whatever you want to do. I don't know, you know if you need to do anything. Really, we just want their name and who they are. Right? So that's all on the form. Right here. That's what we're talking, this person. BCU. And then fill in the back. And so here's another example. I don't do these at the same time, so I wrote this a little bit differently. But I put, well, the truth in lending disclosure I was provided by the lender discloses a grossly inaccurate APR or finance charge. If the disclosed APR is correct, then the disclosed finance charge is understated. And if the disclosed finance charge is correct, then the disclosed APR is overstated. In either case, the error is far outside allowable tolerances. If this transaction was closed, then the lender committed a crime. And if the transaction is not closed, then I have been deceived by the lender and I rescind the contract. Well, what can we do for you? Well, please use administrative enforcement actions to punish this wrongdoing, return my payments with interest, restore my rights, titles, and interests in the collateral, and provide complete remedy and equity. Send it on into them and see what they have to say. So the first one I got an answer back was the gentleman who had this closing disclosure, right, who filled out the complaint. He got an answer back that said, email as to acknowledge our receipt of your online and fax correspondence. He did it both ways. Could do it online or could, fill the form out and fax it in. So he did it both ways. The entity you're inquiring about is regulated by the FDIC. We forwarded correspondence to the agency to investigate. Now, he has since gotten a response from the FDIC, and we're in the waiting stages for that. And if I remember, I'll show that here. But I wasn't really so worried about the next stage. I'm just worried about this first stage for today, right? To see if they're consistent with how they're responding to these, and will we find out that they're not, right? But anyways, this is what he got. So his went out, or it went. But it's worth pointing out immediately that this came from, kcfrb.org. Well, who the hell is that, right? Well, it ends up it's Kansas City Federal Reserve Board.org. Well, what happened to the .gov? Because we sent it to a .gov, right? When you're sending this thing out, you're trying to send it to the Federal Reserve Consumer Help at this P.O. box in Minneapolis, Minnesota, but that isn't where the answer's coming from. The answer's coming from Kansas City. So, immediately, well, there's a red flag. There's something going on. But, got to let the system go, see where it's going to go to. And that's what we found out. And then they don't want you to reply to them. Please don't respond to this message. If you need to contact us, please use the information listed below. And they give this other information here, which goes back to the .gov, right? You're going to contact the .gov, but that isn't where it came from. It came from a .org. An org is not a gov. So something stinks. Okay, and then this one was for the car loan that we just looked at. Come from the same place, .org, from Kansas City Federal Reserve Board.org, which said, we acknowledge receipt of correspondence. The entity you're requiring about is regulated by the Illinois Department of Financial Professional Regulations. Right, it's a credit union. Okay, that could make sense, right? So that sounds all right. And we're forwarded correspondence to the agency, and they gave the agencies so forth and so on. Well, he got contacted also from the Illinois Department of Financial Professional Regulations. Hey, we got your stuff. We're going to contact the credit union. Have an answer in 10 days. And that's where we are now. We're in that 10-day window. See what's happening. So it's all good. Hey, looks like they're, even though they're using the wrong address, maybe they're going to do something properly. The rest of this is the same, though, right? Contact these people down here at a .gov. You're being told that from a .org, neither of which are the place that you sent the complaint to, which is someplace in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Well, after that, they started to get a little bit, something going on here, because here's another one that said, this is for a different person. Email acknowledge I received your correspondence. Please be advised, entity you're inquiring about is subject to oversight by the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau for certain consumer financial protection laws and regulations. Well, if there was a CFPB, that could be true, and that could be right. But in this particular case, the ones that we're talking about, the parts of the law and regulations we're talking about, have nothing to do with the Consumer Financial Protection Board. It's either supposed to go to the FDIC, the Federal Reserve, Board of Governors, Federal Reserve, or the Comptroller of the Currency. Please find the contact for CFPB here. Here's the stuff. Don't contact us, right? Go contact the .gov again. And, but they're consistent. These lies are all coming from the same place, at least. They're coming from some .org out of Kansas City. Let's do another one, right? From the Federal Reserve Consumer Help. Where it says, that. You got here, be advised, entities you are inquiring about, Navy Federal and some extra finance corp, are subject to oversight by Consumer Financial Protection for certain consumer protection laws and regulations. So apparently the Esquires have gotten together now and they've come up with this statement here, are subject to oversight by these people for certain consumer protection laws and regulations. This is why it's really important that if you're going to do this and contact me, only make your complaint about the APR and the finance charges, because that's the shit that's covered by TILA, and the CFPB don't have nothing to do with it. That's supposed to go to these other regulators. And it goes on to say the same stuff the other one did. And then one more time, Federal Reserve Consumer Help acknowledgement. They got your acknowledgement for the same place as these other places have been. On the 27th, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Let me see, where's the stuff? Okay, this email is acknowledged, receipt. Please be advised, the entities you're inquiring about are consumer financial oversight by the CFPB for certain consumer protection laws and regulations, but not the Truth in Lending Act. So they've consistently been consistent with this blurb here about subject to oversight by Consumer Financial Protection Bureau for certain consumer protection laws and regulations. So I'm saying that there is no such thing as Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and I'll show you why now. So in Title 15 of the United States Code, which is Commerce and Trade, under Chapter 41, we have Consumer Credit Protection. Now, the thing about the code is, before it was the code, it was an act, right? And so it started out as a Truth in Lending Act. Then they split it up and they start putting it in different places in the code. So it's kind of hard to follow exactly. But nevertheless, all I want to show you is this. So this would be 15 U.S.C. 1607 for administrative enforcement, which says the enforcing agency, subject to Subtitle B, the Consumer Finance Protection Act, we'll look at that in just a second, compliance with the requirements imposed under this subchapter shall be enforced under Section A of the Federal Deposit Insurance Act by the appropriate federal banking agency as defined in 3Q of the Federal Deposit Insurance Act. So that's at 12 U.S.C. 1813Q, with respect to national banks, federal national savings, federal savings associations, federal branches, yada, 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 yada. Okay. So Title 12, that's banks and banking. So 12 U.S.C. 1813Q, appropriate federal banking agency. The term appropriate federal banking agency means Office of Comptroller Currency, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, Board of Governors, the Federal Reserve System. So I seem pretty clear. It's like one of those three people are the ones that should be dealing with this. So why are they sending it to this Consumer Financial Protection Bureau? So within Public Law 111-203 from July 21st, 2010, so after the last bank crash, probably all remember this thing called the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act. That's what we're dealing with now. And we're going to need to go look at it for a particular. You see, this is almost 850 pages, so we ain't looking at all that. We got to find the pages we need, which ends up being in Title 10, Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection. And what does it say? This title may be cited as the Consumer Financial Protection Act of 2010, and we got some definitions. And the Bureau means the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection, not Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. All right, Subtitle A, Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection. Bureau established. There is established in the Federal Reserve System. I got it. Federal Reserve, those three words, that term, Federal Reserve System. What exactly does that mean? Because that doesn't necessarily mean the Federal Reserve Board or the governors of the board. It's the Federal Reserve System. So who is that exactly? I don't know yet. But nevertheless, that's where it's established and known as the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection. And, instead of being told to go to that place, the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection, the folks are being told to go to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Hey, they got a website. It all looks pretty. It's .gov. It's like, well, there you are. Apparently, it's administrative state. Busy again. And, since I had gotten those three replies, it was all like within 24 hours. Boom, three people replied to me. They all got the same answer, right? That their shit's been sent on, that they need to contact the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Well, that isn't the right place. So I was thinking about it. And so one of the people, when they contacted me, I said, well, let me just put a few words on paper and they can send it to them, right? So I said, well, hey, why don't you reply to them like this? Say something like this. Say, thank you for the reply. However, it appears you made a mistake or an intentional false statement that violates United States Code 18 U.S.C. 1001, which has to do with false statements. Be advised that 12 U.S.C. 5491A established the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection, not the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. You got to read it for yourself. Bureau established. There is established in the Federal Reserve System an independent bureau to be known as the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection, which shall regulate the offering and provision of consumer finance products or services under the federal consumer financial laws. The Bureau shall be considered an executive agency as defined in Section 105 of Title V, except as otherwise provided expressly by law. All federal laws dealing with public or federal contracts, property, works, officers, employees, budgets, and funding, including provisions under Chapters 5 and 7 of Title V, shall apply to the exercise of powers of the Bureau. What's the name of the Bureau? Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection. Right? So that's what it says. Or read it here. I gave them the thing. Go look yourself, right? The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is a color of law entity that will violate my civil rights. Please correct your mistake and forward my complaints to the overstated, understated APR and finance charges to the proper office, or you will be criminally prosecuted by the Attorney General of the United States. Regards. Something like that, just to see how they would answer. Right? That back to this place here, if it would be possible. I don't even know if you can send an email back to no reply at KFC. But if if you can't, then it's like, well, would you send it to? Well, then I would go back to the original complaint, to this place up here, and fax it to them. Fax them your complaint again. Say, hey, this is the answer I got. It's not the right answer, and here's my reply to your answer. That's one thing we can try to do. Another one is, well, try to go to the Inspector General. Unfortunately, you go to the Office of Inspector General for the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System, and it says for Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Well, we don't want the CFPB. I'm not saying not to complain anyways, because there's the hotline. You can report waste, fraud, and abuse. It's no big deal. Go ahead and do it. And tell them you've been sent to the wrong place. If the law says to go to, then according to Title 12 of the United States Code, Section 1813Q, your complaint should have gone to the Office of Comptroller of Currency, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, Board of Governors, Federal Reserve System, and ask them why it didn't go there. Or, after that, we'll find some other way to contact these places and say, hey, how come my complaint didn't go to you? So anyways, I don't know exactly what to do. This is the point. We had to get this far to say, well, what are they going to do? And apparently the administrative state has stepped in, and they're showing us what they're going to do. Right? So if you've sent a complaint and you get an answer like this, I'm just telling you right now, well, this is wrong from what I can see. And, I don't even know I want to bother trying to fill it out and send it to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, because that's not the right place. But you can, it's there, so, what the hell? You people that have the problem, keep filling it out and send me back to tell me what you did and what they said, because I don't have an answer. I can't do it myself. I don't have a loan, or I'd be doing this myself. I wouldn't even need to be waiting for answers. But be that as it may, contact the Federal Reserve Consumer Health and say, hey, how come the complaint that I'm filling out I mailed to the Minneapolis, Minnesota, but the answer I'm getting back is coming from a .org out of Kansas City. In fact, let's see where that goes to. Hang on a second. Yeah, well, this is interesting, right? If you just take the @kc.frb.org and put it into Google, you end up getting this contacts at the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas. So let's see what this shows us. Well, isn't that, look at that, they give you email addresses. You could email these people and say, hey, how come I'm getting this shit from you when I sent it to Minnesota? And why are you telling me to take it to the CFPB when the law says that the place to send it has nothing to do with the CFPB? So that's what I work on next. Or I'm just saying that's where my head is well, we need to go back now to somebody and bitch about what they did and make a stink about it. So that's all one way. Now the other way is to use your representative. So here's my representative, John Moulinar, right? You can find, every one of them has their own site on house.gov. And they have all these tabs up here, right? One is services, help with the federal agency. Well, you can fill out the form right here. Okay, and put it in that way. And I can't get through all the pages because I don't have one to, don't have a complaint to put in to find out what else they ask. But if they ask you or give you the ability to attach documents, then attach the complaint you put in and the answer you got back. Alternatively, if you just go under contacts, right, you can just send an email contact, but they also have his office locations. So if you're close enough to his office, just stop by there with the paperwork and sit down and get an answer. So these are those office locations I would use when you're filling out the form where it says who's your representative and what's your address. Well, there's your addresses. You can use any one of those. If you're contacting Congressman John Moulinar or whoever yours happens to be, right? But this is what I'm talking about when I say representative or congressman. Okay, well, that about covers it. I mean, it's obvious the wise guys are still in charge, right? The administrative state. I mean, they just last night crashed a helicopter into an airplane, killing 60 some people or something like that. Right? They're not going to go down easy. And the only way they're going to go down is we got to expose them at every level because I don't know who else knows this. I mean, I bet you my congressman doesn't know this is what's happening. I bet you, Trump doesn't know this is happening. I bet you Elon Musk doesn't know this is happening. Right? None of these people know this is happening. So, it's up to us, the little guys. We got to be the ones making the noise. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. And so keep pumping them with complaints until we break the system. And that'll be when they tell you to, well, don't send it to the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. Send it to, whoever it goes to. When somebody gets their stuff back, when we get somebody who gets an answer and says, you know what, you're right, this is understated finance charge beyond the limits, overstated APR beyond the limits, well, then you have something to talk about. And if you've not watched some of my videos on this before, you're probably still not watching this one. But in case you are, if you go to Rob Ryder, the 3Bs on YouTube, right, you'll see I did a TILA complaint, first response. It was my most recent. And then go back and look at Slap a Bankster with a TILA complaint and Truth in Lending will set you free. Show you where the rest of these little laws and stuff I talked about in this video came from. So I'm going to leave it at that. And okay, go get them. We need to end the administrative state. No doubt about it. Y'all have a great day. See you.